don't think we've done a walkthrough of the home arcade yet. So I'll give you a little quick tour of that, what we got going on right now. So as soon as you come in, you got some cool art that's near and dear. We got one of one-up Atari 50s, just because I love Atari. You know, in this cooler here we got drinks for the kids, waters, all that good stuff. We got our screen to watch some movies, our screen to play some old school games. We got the Atari 2600, NES, Super NES, Nintendo 64, and the Wii up in here. Didn't have room for my Sega stuff. Whenever I get in the mood, I'll pull it out though. We got our Vulix cab, running main. That way, if you get in the mood for something, you can't have them all in one spot. So that'll get you by, and you can play a little something. We got the arcade SD board and the black cab, the black pack. I refurbished that one, had to replace the bottom out of it. It was rotten. We got us a Galaga. No game room's complete without a Galaga. With the, as my buddy Todd Tucky says, the Light-O-Matic buttons. The original joystick. We got an Asteroids with Lord Vader hanging out up there. I pulled this Asteroids out of a laundromat. It was a really bad conversion into an Aliens. Which, yeah, it's a decent game, but it's no Asteroids. And then we got the Defender cab. This cab was in excellent shape. It was probably one of the best Defenders I've ever seen. I didn't have to do anything to the cab. And of course, my game Robotron there, but we're rocking the Multi-Williams J-Rock board on this one. I usually just keep it on Robotron because that's my jam. While I'm hunting for my upright Berserk cab, I just kind of threw this together real quick. The original bezel, it fits on there perfect. So I had a control panel made. Actually, that's a Pac-Man control panel that I just put on the metal machine on the bender and bent it up. Kind of made it happen. But this is running a J-Rock multi-Berserk and Frenzy board. Let me show you guys that. So you got Berserk's fast bullets. Even though it says slow bullets, they're faster. And Frenzy, which is part 2. And yeah, we got some one-ups. But that's alright, because they take up a little bit of room. And I've got the original way backs. So it's not as blasphemous for some of you hardcore collector guys, because I do in fact have the originals. But for the home arcade, for the kids, for space, these do just fine. Did the little mod with the MCP cone up there, and Discotron, added me a coin button, working coin door. Just because. And Dragon's Lair. Love that game for the attract sounds. It's hard as crap, but you know, once you learn the patterns, it's not so bad. This is my Monopoly. It will probably never leave my collection. I've modded the heck out of this thing. I'm a Monopoly fan. You'll probably never see a nicer Monopoly pinball. This thing's one of my favorites ever. Mr. Monopoly there, color DMD. That topper, I actually got that out of Reno. I used to be on a slot machine, but it fits perfect. So there's my Monopoly. My wife had this made for me this last Christmas, actually. Like I said, I'm a Monopoly fan. I've got tons of boards. This is the Pineville Opoly. I'm sure everybody in their town has something similar, whatever town Opoly. But what was cool about this one, we didn't even know that it was going to happen, but they put Wayback's Arcade on the Pineville Opoly. So I got it framed. Coming around, we got more old school artwork. That Missile Command poster came out of an old Atari art book. We got the virtual pen that I made. I made this out of an old Magnetron solid state pen that was just well beyond saving. But this will scratch the itch, because again, with games in a home arcade, you can't have them all. And this thing's got several hundred games. It's got the pinball effects. It's got the visual pinball, so you get all your, your clones of real games, plus a bunch of fantasy ones. So it scratches the itch. We got the custom Star Wars comic graphic kegerator with my custom Tron tap handle that I made. This is actually made out of a real Tron joystick. That's a one-of-a-kind there, as far as I know anyway. I've never seen anybody else with one. You got your Starfighter, your Star Wars, a bunch of the old Star Wars figures. I know the Power of the Force collection isn't the most sought after, but I didn't get them because of that. I got them because that's the ones I grew up with. That's the ones I played with. Got our Joust marquee sound by Lonnie McDonald there. Lonnie came to the original Waybacks. Kill screened our, well, not kill screen, but beat Joust. Got the 9,009,900. Nines all the way across the board. Couldn't go any higher. Robotron, like I said, that's my game. My wife got me that for one Christmas. It's a Space Invaders pop bumper night light. But I didn't even turn everything on. So old Todd Tuckey, TNT Amusements. Great guy, infinite wealth of knowledge. You should check out his channel, TNT Amusements. And we got the Neon, more asteroids, Yoda. A little shadow box my wife put together for me of our very first news article at our first location. So yeah, just lots of cool things that are personal to me that I like. When I built this game room, I made it small because if not, y'all see what happens. Waybacks happen. Bought way too many games. At one point I had in this building is 45 arcades and like 6 pinballs. So yeah, it was a bit out of hand. That's actually what opened the first Waybacks, was the arcades that were in here. But anyway, that's just a quick tour, and it's always changing. I actually do have a line on a full-size Berserk, so that might be replacing my little mini cab before too long. But yeah, so we got Clint coming over. We're gonna have some boudin, we're gonna have some beers, and we're just gonna hang out. So I hope y'all hang out with us. So we got the deer sausage. This is that deer I got last month. It's nice and fresh. Some boudin. Good and smoked. Now we can go hurt ourselves. Hey, what's up, guys? This is Saturday at the shop here with my buddy Clint of the famed Tix Arcade. But we just got some sausage and some boudin off the pit. If y'all don't know Louisiana, then you don't know boudin. You don't know what you're missing. But it's good shit. But so yeah, we're just gonna hang out and do what we normally do. And got a new thing here to try. We're going to call it the Keeper Keg. So we're going to try a mystery beer each time we go hang out. And so I have no clue what's in there. Clint told me, but I done forgot because I'm getting old. So we're going to decide if we want to keep drinking it or switch to the keg. And it's a Coors Light. I think we'll keep on drinking that probably. That's an old favorite.
Yeah, we both cut our teeth on that back in the day. So let's see if it's as good as the keg later.
Yeah, if they had the option, Coors Banquet would definitely be in the kegerator right now. But unfortunately, we can't seem to get kegs of Coors Banquet down here for whatever reason. No, Rocky Mountain denial. We get plenty of the light, but
the way it works here where we live, if your restaurant carries the beer on draft, well, you can get it for your home. But if they don't, man, you're out of luck.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate thing. I think next time I might switch to back to the Paradise Park if I think ahead of time to order it.
And so you're on Miller Lite right now.
Yep. Yeah, you know what I say when it's Miller time.
Don't we all?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about Coors Light. It's been a minute. It's a little more fruity. I like it. It's not fruity in an IPA kind of way, but it's got a little more sweetness than the Miller.
Smells sweeter. I drink Yuengling Flight, but you'll see when we do Tick's Arcade. That's my go-to now. But I like a Miller Lite.
Yeah, I got to go over and try the Yuengling on the draft. Got a couple cans here, and it'll get you by. But from what I hear, the draft's the way to go. So.
I didn't even like it until I tried it on draft. Now, to me, this smells a little bit more weedy than, let's say, a Miller Lite or a Yuengling. You're right, it's sweeter. It's 120 calories, so it's a little bit more because we're under 100 now because we're getting older, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell I care a lot about my calories sitting here with some food and some beer, but, pushing 40, so you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, since we're being honest, I'm 51, and we're here in the arcade. I liked it so much I took the last. But I remember playing EM pinball machines, and then one day there was a Space Invaders, and I asked my mom, "It's like, what's this?" She said, "I don't know. Here's a quarter. Go try it." And that was it. Next thing you know, that same Pizza Hut had an Asteroids down the road, and then an Asteroids Deluxe. But the one game I remember the most from that Pizza Hut was a Journey cocktail. And in collecting, I actually missed out on getting that original cocktail. I had a choice between two cocktails. They'd both been converted to other games, and I ended up getting the one that looked the best cabinet-wise. And then come to find out it was that same cocktail cabinet that had been in Oakdale, Louisiana.
It's crazy how that works out. You were in the era of, you saw, like you say, Space Invaders come out, Pac-Man come out. You're, I believe, 14 years older than I am. So in that little time span, I remember stuff like Mortal Kombat 2 coming out and Killer Instinct and, Revolution X. And so I got a similar story on a couple games, actually, and they're both at way back. So when I was about my middle son's age, so probably, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there, they had the book it program at school. So you read a book, you tell your teacher, "Hey, I read this book." I love reading, so it was no problem for me. But you had a big pen, and so for every book you'd read, they put a star sticker on the pen. And when you fill it up, you got a free personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut. And so, my mom, she's kind of like me. She's not a big people person. She'd go to there was a Pizza Hut on was it North MacArthur, where Genghis is now, closed years ago. But nobody went there, so that's where we went. And the only arcade they had was Revolution X. And fast forward many years later, looking through this warehouse in Lafayette, and I saw Revolution X, and I was like, "Oh man, that's cool." I remember playing the crap out of this game, And the guy's like, "Where'd you say it was again?" I was like, "Yeah, it was Pizza Hut on North MacArthur in Alexandria." He's like, "Yeah, it was this one." I was like, "Yeah, Revolution X." And yeah, and he's like, "No, it was this one." He's like, "We only ever had one of them, and we put it in the Pizza Hut in North MacArthur until they closed." It's like, what? So I asked him how much he wanted, and he's like, well, I don't know if it works or anything. And marquee was missing. The cabinet was in decent shape. And those boards, if you know anything about them, nobody works on them. They're just a pain in the butt, notorious for dying. But he gave me a good price. I think I paid 600 or 700. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Got it back to the shop, plugged it up, and it worked. It's friggin' luck of the draw, crazy. The board's perfect. The monitor, we put a cap kit on, dialed it in, nothing to it. And to this day, knock on wood, it's still playable at Waybacks. And then got all kind of cool stories like that. Like the first pinball I remember playing was at BJ's in Pineville when I was little. It was Waterworld. And it went from BJ's to a buddy of ours in Eunice, who's got a home arcade, and and then it went to me, and then I think I sold it back to him, and then I bought it back from him, and then now it's at Wayback. So if you want to play the first pinball I remember playing, it's Waterworld at Waybacks. So it's pretty wild how things like that kind of come around full circle here locally. But games that I played when I was a kid, I wind up being able to buy the same one as an adult. It's pretty cool.
When we do the Tix arcade walkthrough, we could do a whole episode on the weird Frogger story, but that's for another time.
The bulletproof Frogger.
That's a weird one, but what he was saying is true. You get attached to certain games, and then when you find them, you're like, man, I want to play this game or own it. And sometimes they end up being the same game because it's a small area. And they only had a few operators.
Yeah, I remember 3 arcades maybe. There was Yesterday's in the mall. There was Putt Putt Golf out on the Coliseum, and then Bulow Fun Park. And they all died around the same time. It was probably late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. And so then you stuck with a laundromat here or there that has 1 or 2 games, or a pizza shop that had 1 or 2 games. I'm not ashamed of it, but when I started collecting, I wound up buying all the games out of all the local BJ's Pizza.
He sure did.
I had the ideas of opening an arcade one day. I was like, well, if you're going to play an arcade, you might as well come to one place to play them all. And they look rough. So, we cleaned them up a lot, and now they're all available there. And instead of pumping quarters in it at the pizza place, you can just pay $13 and play them all day.
I bought one out of BJ's. It was a Wipeout pinball machine, and I couldn't hardly go in my arcade for the first 2 or 3 months because I'd get hungry because it still would smell like BJ's Pizza, which is a local favorite. I'm not originally from this area. I moved here in the early 90s. So a lot of the stuff he's talking about, I didn't get to see that firsthand. But again, when we do the episode of Tix, I'll tell you my history with Mr. Gaddy's in Southwest Louisiana. I still can almost smell the Lake Charles Mall going in, and they had one of the best arcades by Sears you could have ever gone to, and just the sounds, they just kind of bring you back, And on another topic, if you're not from Louisiana and you've never had boudin or deer sausage, you're missing out.
And that's jalapeno stuffed cheddar deer sausage, by the way. It's got to have that little kick to it when you're down here. But this here, I love boudin. I worked on the road for 20 years, so this was breakfast, lunch, dinner. I've tried it in every town, every gas station, every meat market. This here is my favorite. This is from Juno's in Marksville. And so if you're ever near Marksville, Louisiana, Boyles Parish, go down and get you some Juno's. It's going to hurt your feelings because you ain't ever going to want to eat boudin from anywhere else.
Now, this comes to you by Jack's drive-through. And they thought something was wrong with me because just like Evan, I have a kegerator at the house in the arcade. And I never buy alcohol there. I always buy ices. And so the guy was getting ready to start my icy, and I said, no, I need a tall boy. He goes,
thought you were having a bad day, huh?
Yeah, he said, you okay? That's what he said. I said, no. I said, I explained it and everything. He said, oh, so that's why you don't buy beer. I said, yeah, I have it at the house. And so then we had a whole story on kegerators, which led to an arcade conversation.
So as far as the keeper keg goes, I'd say since we about drained these, we're keeping it. We'll switch to the keg later.
Yeah. I think it's a winner.
Coors Light, you can't go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
A little Rocky Mountain freshness. So, any new news at Tix? What you got going on over there lately?
I'm in the process of trying to up some of my scores, and it seems like every time I get to that point, I'm having a great game. Somebody calls because I run a business just like Evan, where people call you all the time.
Genesis Martial Arts, check them out.
Yeah.
They're excellent. I've gone and rolled on the mats a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Need to get my butt back there, but life has a way of keeping you busy. So, but anyway, Genesis Martial Arts.
Yeah. Thanks for a plug. But now Texas is going good. Change out a new keg. You know that happens every 5 weeks. But no, the games have been pretty much the same since we made a trade. He needed some money for a deer rifle, and I wanted a mega race back, and so that worked out. So I've been kind of playing a mega race a lot lately again.
Yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, with our hobbies, you got to keep the wives happy. So if you buy something expensive, you kind of got to sell something expensive. You're like, yeah, it's okay. I wasn't wasting money. I bought it with the profits from this, and you usually got to make just a little bit more. That way you can say, well, we could pay a cell phone bill, and then I'll get the deer rifle or whatever with the money that's left. So, good lesson for all you newly married guys out there.
But if they don't like games, they're not keepers. Just saying.
And mine, so I can get her out here once in a while. So it's not often. But I used to have the Munsters pinball I'd bought. Loved the TV show, got the game. Played it. She played it a couple times. But she'd never really say nothing about it. It's fun. Until you sell it. I made the mistake of selling Munsters. And I haven't lived it down since. That was my favorite pinball. I love that one. Why did you get rid of it? I got rid of it because you never played it. But you can't tell her that, because that would be mean. So, things are always changing. I think I got rid of Munsters to get a Terminator 2 and a Last Action Hero. Then I got rid of them to get a Mandalorian. Now I got rid of the Mandalorian. Monopoly is the only one I have left. But Monopoly probably won't go anywhere. You always have those games that you're never getting rid of.
No. So two things. One, he's right about you never know what they like. My wife, we're in that age group where we were there from the beginning of the arcades, and she loves Centipede. That's her favorite game, which is a game I got from him years ago. And she told me one day, just out of the blue, said, if this game's gone, then I know that we got a divorce because this is my favorite game. So I have a millipede with the multi-kit now, and they play Centipede. And she likes playing it better with the big trackball millipede, but she won't let me sell Centipede, so it's got to stay. So some games have to stay. Now, the Monopoly, that was a cool story. I liked Monopoly. It was mine. But it got to where it took up a lot of space in my arcade, and I just kind of had been looking for a Cubert. So a friend of mine in Houston was offering me a Cubert for the game, because Cuberts, if you don't know, can go between anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500. And that pinball machine, I made a steal. I got it for $2,200. I had to drive to I think it was Crowley to get it. And anyway, I told Evan I was going to make the trade. Well, he's a Monopoly fiend. He loves anything Monopoly. In fact, if you want to send him donations for the channel, he'll probably take Monopoly money.
I will, man, as long as it's the Star Wars version.
There you go. And so, with everything I put into it, I had a DMD die, and just changed out the LEDs and did a few other modifications, and so I was still right under $3,000 on it. And I felt like I wasn't going to lose anything in value, because he came to me and he said, look, I can get you a new in the box Cubert from Arcade Shop. And that was kind of cool. I went for it. Okay, the Cubert came in, did the unboxing, and he added all the parts to it, the J-Rock It's working great in it.
Yeah,
And
light-o-matic buttons.
yeah, we even got a lot of Matic buttons.
You want some more of that sausage and boudin?
I'm good right now. And then when I brought Monopoly over here, and my son, every time he comes over to Evan's place, man, he loves to play that Monopoly. So it still gets played by my son. But
Yeah.
that was a steal. The Monopoly when I got it had under 1,000 plays. He was 16 years old at the time, and it looked like it was factory.
That's back when Stern would ship them directly to your house. They don't do that no more. Now you got to go through a retailer so they can set a market price. But my youngest boy, he's 5 and he loves pinball. He comes in here and plays at Monopoly all the time. So it's a good trade. And whenever I want to play Cubert, I'll just go to Tix and play some Cubert.
He's not going to beat the high score, but he's going to try.
Nah, you know, Clint's got me at Cubert. He's got me on Berserk. But that's all right because I got him on Robotron and Asteroids.
Robotron's just out of control.
That's a wild game, man.
Mm-hmm.
They have them Jedi reflexes.
Another game I added recently, but I have a cocktail game. It's old Asteroids, but it's running a pie. Evan hooked me up with, and I added Gravatar. It's pretty fun. Everybody hates that game because it's so hard, but once you learn it, it's like Lunar Lander on crack.
That's one I just can't get behind. Lunar Lander. I want to punch the screen every time. I hate the throttle is cool, it's unique, but it's infuriating. That game doesn't make any sense to me at all.
That's the main reason I never became an astronaut. I sucked at it.
Right. I mean, if you believe everybody on the internet, you know, we never made it to the moon anyway, so it's a useless game in that regard. You'll never have to land the moon shuttle.
Never.
I don't know though. You read the news yesterday. I think one of them civilian companies wound up getting some kind of robot or probe or something on the moon again, first time since '72, I believe. So that's pretty cool.
Most of the lunar landers got converted to asteroids. Asteroids was just a phenomenal game back in the day. Originally, they were trying to do a clone of Space Invaders, and then they decided to do the Asteroids game and play on people's idea of getting rid of clutter. I think that's how it went.
Yeah.
I said, because you want to clear out the whole field.
Old Todd, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I think 3 weeks now, Texas Pinball Festival. You get your tickets or your room? Y'all going?
Yeah, we're going. Me and my son will be there on Saturday.
Awesome.
So we're gonna spend the day Saturday, and then my wife, she doesn't want to go to the pinball festival because she's seen pictures of how crazy it is, but she wants to go to the arcade museum in Texas. So we're gonna go check that out.
I ride with you. I hadn't had a chance to check it out. Last time it was so packed, man. We went to the parking lot. It was just crazy. So we was like, screw this, let's go eat. That's what we like to do in Louisiana. We like to eat.
One of my favorite arcades in that area is Electric Starship Arcade. They have a YouTube channel as well. The guy is really nice. The owner, all his games are just like collector's games. They're clean, well maintained. It's just a cool place, and you can get a cold beer there too.
Yeah, make a visit to him too this time. The last couple of times I went to Cidercade, which they got a really good hard ciders, but nice games, good selection, a lot of pinballs, but we'll have to mix it up this time and go somewhere else.
So getting back to the beer, I used to, in the 90s, I used to get into brewing my own beer. Kind of liked trying different stuff. But as I age, I'm a old school American macro lager kind of guy. I like simple, clean, crisp flavors. But there's some brands out there that might have like a peach flavor in the summertime or something like that. I'm open to that. But for my everyday beer, keep the calories low, keep it flowing,
That's it.
Like a doctor once told me, said, I think your liver is okay if you're drinking beer with just 4.2% alcohol.
No, I used to try to do the brewing. I made a few batches.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had my beer. I know you had my cider. But with me, it's always been time. There's never enough time in a day between the arcade. I've got young kids, family, a house to take care of, all that good stuff. It's just I never had the time to devote to it as much as I wanted, so I got lazy and was like, you know what? I've got the kegerator because that's why I originally bought the kegerator. I was doing the cider, but I was like, I'm gonna just switch it over, do the macro brews. I did another Louisiana beer first. Was Paradise Park. Which that was really good.
It's a good beer. It's my wife's favorite, actually.
Yes, it's down from New Orleans. Matter of fact, I think the first time I tried it was Shannon, his wife, was putting on the Zoo Brew here in town, and there's a lot of terrible beers, but Paradise Park was by far one of the few good ones, and it sold out after that. I think I managed to get 2 before they ran out. But really good stuff. So if you're in New Orleans area, they give factory tours and have a little gift shop. Worth checking out for sure.
In fact, I just remembered I have a tap handle that I bought with the Paradise Park logo. It's got a flamingo,
It's humongous.
Yeah.
It's like that friggin' tall. It's crazy. That's why I stick with my Latron. I I was getting out of hand. Every time I'd switch beer in the keg, I'd have to buy me a tap handle to match. So I was like, man, I need to stop that. And so I just made the Tron handle one day. I had the shell and the plate as a spare, and went ahead and filled it up with epoxy and put my little grommet in there. And I don't know, it's a cool feeling when you grab that flight joystick.
Oh, it's awesome. Beers. I definitely recommend that tap handle.
I've seen some guys. I think you got the Atari 2600 tap handle.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy the other day. He had a Nintendo Zapper. They got all kind of cool stuff out there for your taps.
I got so many tap handles in the last just year that I forget what I have.
Yeah.
I got stuck on my big tall Beck's dark handle because it's so huge. It looks cool.
I remember at one point, because you and your kids made your tapper. I remember at one point you had got you like a board and had all your tap handles on top and kind of used it as a topper. That was pretty cool.
It kept falling over.
That's the cool thing about a home arcade, though. You can try a million things, and one of them might work out. But I mean, that's one unique thing to your game room that nobody else is gonna have.
Yeah.
Taps.
I got so many tap handles in the last just year that I forget what I have.
Yeah.
I got stuck on my big tall Beck's dark handle because it's so huge. It looks cool.
I remember at one point, because you and your kids made your tapper. I remember at one point you had got you like a board and had all your tap handles on top and kind of used it as a topper. That was pretty cool.
It kept falling over.
That's the cool thing about a home arcade, though. You can try a million things, and one of them might work out. But I mean, that's one unique thing to your game room that nobody else is gonna have.
Yeah. One of the things I like about this hobby is meeting different people. Like I wouldn't have known Evan unless he bought a game from me. The guy I bought my first game from, Todd. We'll have to go visit him. He's a character.
Talk about True Deal, Louisiana, coon ass, Cajun. He's down in Eunice, and nobody has a straight English accent there. It's all that. It's all that South Louisiana Cajun French. But my wife, she makes fun of me. She says every time I'm around somebody, I inflect their way of speaking. So she hates it when we go to the Mexican restaurant. I don't realize I'm doing it, but apparently every time I go to Todd, I start talking like a Cajun for the next few hours after I'm home.
You can't help it though. Well, yeah, you meet a lot of cool people in this hobby.
They got some goobers, and they got some that you just soon roll over with a truck.
Yeah,
but they do have a lot of really great ones. It's kind of, I've never really met anybody that's just in the middle. It's usually they're awesome and very friendly and giving and caring, or they're just complete turds.
Yeah, that's true.
It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't know if any other hobbies are like that, like car guys or.
Yes, our friend Jason in Monroe, who has a private collection, he used to collect uh, old school cars, uh, and he had several really nice cars. And like some of us went through a divorce, had to get rid of them, and things happen. But he said that yeah, it's the same in the hobby. He said, but with antique car collecting, he said a lot of those guys, he would say about 90% are turds and 10% are really cool guys.
I guess that's just kind of like a lesson in life. Don't be a stinking turd. Nobody likes that.
Nobody
you don't
likes
want
a
anybody to
turd.
be a turd to you. Don't be a turd to
No.
anybody. We try to get along and get on as best we can around here, and that's what's cool about games that I've never understood. Like, games are for everybody.
Yeah.
There's no political agenda. There's no religious agenda. You're just there to have fun, and that's what all we want to do is have fun, relive some childhood, because we're getting old. It's spooky how quick the years go by. Once you have kids, they just.
Mm-hmm.
But what I really like about the game room, or why I started getting into it in the first place, is because of my kids. I saw the ad that he put on Facebook with that cabinet I told you about on the introduction video, and I just want to see my kids' face, like, because they'd never seen it. And I'll never forget Connor. He looked at it, he's like, "Dad, why is there a TV in the box?" And so that was just the coolest thing in the world to me. And so that was kind of a big driver for me. It was just, I showed them one, now I want to show them another one and another one. And now that they're all getting older, of course, anything Dad does isn't cool. So they don't come out as much as they used to, but they're on their PCs or playing Fortnite and whatnot. But
same with mine.
That's why we got Waybacks now. We show the whole area, whole group of kids that have never seen arcades. They're living it up for the first time and loving it. And so it's infuriating because I'm so OCD, about finishing them cosmetically and whatnot, to where when I see that one kid banging on the flippers or yanking on the joystick, it's like, I can't be here. But 99% of the people really love it, and it's a totally awesome feeling to see all the work that you put into something other people come and enjoy. And with a home arcade, you like your home arcade. You like me, you sit in here, you watch a movie, you listen to some music, you drink a beer, just listen to all the sounds and clear your mind. But nothing beats when you have friends come over and they're all playing it and enjoying it, and all the work that you put into it gets paid off. It's a cool feeling.
Yeah, our Genesis Jiu-Jitsu team had it was a Christmas party, but it was after Christmas, a few weeks after. And anyway, they came over, and I had to record it because it was the first time that I would say 90% of the games were being played at one time, and there were so many different sounds which I had not heard in forever, because it's usually just me and my son playing, sometimes my wife. So you only have a few games on at a time. Well, you have them all on, but that are making noise. But it was cool. It was old school. That was kind of nice. The funny thing is, he told the story about that first cabinet. Waybacks would not be around if it wasn't for that first cabinet, but it was really because I had a brain fart. Okay, I don't know if any of you guys over 50 ever get that, but I'd forgotten that Defender had a reverse button, and I had a 19-in-1 board in there. Loved that cabinet. It was beautiful. I did a nice cherry red on it and had the Williams logo, because it used to be a Smash TV cabinet. And anyway, I thought my board was broken because the ship wouldn't go in reverse. And it really wasn't until 3 weeks after I sold it to him, I was laying in bed and go, whoa, wait a minute. It has a reverse button. That's how Defender was played, because Defender, if you guys have played it, it's complicated. It's got all these buttons. So it was easy after, gosh, it had been 30 years probably since I'd played a Defender, because there weren't readily available in Southwest Louisiana. I think I played it like twice in my life. So I'd forgotten. And because of my mistake, I just said, all right, I'm tired of dealing with this. I'll sell this, get another game. And that's how this all started, because I was basically a dumbass.
I'm not going to lie. I could tell you this now. We've been friends for probably 10 years or better. But I got it home, and I remember him was like, yeah, the board's messed up. It doesn't go backwards. Well, when I got it home, I started messing with the buttons because I hadn't played an arcade in 10 years. I hadn't seen them. They just weren't around. but I got the ship to go in reverse. It's like, well, he said it didn't work. It's like, well, I ain't gonna tell him because I think I gave you $250, $300 for that.
It was
for a working
250,
game.
and I had almost 4 in it, so I took a loss to just clear it out. But that's how this community works sometimes. There's been several times back in the day when he was having problems with his truck. He's like, look, man, I got a line on some games. I want to go. He said, I'll give you a cabinet. There's like, I'm getting a cabinet thrown in bonus. So that's how my Miss Pac-Man came about. That's how my Pac-Man came about. So you never know. Everything balances. We help each other. It works out. He's given me so many controllers and buttons and stuff, and I brought him stuff. It's just marquees. When he used to have the old shop, I'd say, "Hey man, here's some marquees." And
we had marquees everywhere. We
actually
got a lot of them
hanging
at Waybacks.
Yeah.
I remember that time you blew my mind. It was probably a year or two after we became friends, and he just called me up and like, "Hey man, you like Donkey Kong Jr.?" Like, yeah, I like Donkey Kong Jr. He's like, "You want one?"
Yeah.
It's like, how much? He's like, "I'm free." But yeah, he just brought me a free Donkey Kong Jr. and I had that thing for a while. Yeah. I don't even remember what I wound up swapping that for, but I kind of wish I'd have kept it because most of them, they come with that good solid plywood, but that one was like a particle board, so it was one of the later runs. But I haven't come across one of them since, so it's kind of a unique little piece of history.
Well, what happened on that one was my brother wanted a game. He lives in Dallas, and he said, "Can you make me a 60-in-1?" And Todd Dupree, the one we were just talking about, Todd said, "Hey, there's this guy I sold a Donkey Kong Jr. to a long time ago, one of his friends. He said he wants to sell the game." So I bought the game from him, but my brother was like, "I don't know about the junior look and all this," so he was kind of on the fence about it. So I asked Todd if he had another cabinet. He said, "Actually, I got a centipede cabinet right here. I'm not going to do anything with. I got it free in a trade. If you want it, come get it." So I just took that. I had all the parts to make a 60-in-1 for my brother. So I had that other game. I said, well, I know Evan's been looking for some Nintendo cabs, so I gave it to him. So that's how sometimes it's cool in this hobby. You help each other out, and it all works out. But the real moral to this story is my brother Lee still sucks at Centipede and Donkey Kong, so it is what it is.
Right. I can't hate on Lee too much. One of my grails was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Man, like he said, he was living in Dallas at the time. One came up for sale at a good price, real good price. I want to say I paid $600-700, and you can't even buy the board set for that. But Lee picked it up, and the next time he came and visited Clint, he had brought it all the way from Dallas for me. After he disassembled it to make some copy cabs, but
yeah, he was making cabs for a while, but that didn't work out.
That's a pain in the butt, man. Like you saw here recently, I did the 3 Pong cabinets, and
those are awesome.
You start off strong, like, yeah, this ain't gonna be nothing to it. I can knock this out. We're gonna have nice cabs, and yeah, you can do it, but you don't realize how much of pain in the butt it is until you're about halfway in, when it's too late to turn back, and you just have to finish. With the amount of sawdust and finagling and sanding, and so counting the 3 Pongs we just did, I've only ever built 2 others. And you know what? Until I buy a CNC machine and I got that big massive money one day and I don't know what else to do with it, probably done building them by scratch. I'll restore one over building one any day.
Well, I've only built 2 cabs from scratch. One was a Tapper Cabaret, and Midway never made a Tapper Cabaret. But my kids, they're almost 14 now, but when Wreck-It Ralph 2 came out, they're like, "Hey, Dad, can you build us can you buy us a Tapper?" Well, Tappers, you guys in the hobby know, they go $2,500, $3,000, sometimes even more.
I think they're $3,500 now.
That's insane. So I got to thinking, you know what? I could probably do a pie with that, and had a friend in Houston tell me that he could make a 3D, do the 3D printing to make the tap handles with little zippy sticks, joysticks. You can set them to 2-way, 4-way, or 8-way. So that's how it all got started in my head. So I brought the twins with me, and we went to Home Depot. They were there when I got the wood. I had the guys cut them out, to manageable pieces, and came home and used a skill saw and jigsaw, and I built it. Used a local glass guy, and he gave me some Lexan he wasn't using for the top. And next thing you know, we had a tapper cabaret, and the kids were happy. He even used his brother, who has a sign shop, took pictures of the kids drinking root beer, and made little decals and put on the bezel. So it's kind of got a little family flair to it. But with the pie, I had it set where I could play root beer tapper for the kids and then tapper for myself. Then the pandemic came about, and he wanted to get some stuff for Waybacks. He was, had time, and so the story goes, I got his virtual pinball machine for a Street Fighter 2, and I had to build them a root beer tapper for Waybacks.
Seems like it was one other game in that trade though. Die Hard. Die Hard came in that too, didn't it?
Die Hard was the original trade I got from him. Yeah, we were drinking one New Year's Eve. We had it was before Christmas, the 23rd. We had a little party over here. So me and Evan were just sitting there, and he'd been trying to get that. We're talking about BJ's. It's going back to the BJ story. Mm-hmm. He was trying to get that Wipeout pinball machine.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And he kept on all night. What do I have to do to get that? And I stood up. I remember crushing that Michelob Ultra. Don't judge us. Threw it in the trash, and I went to 4 games. I said, give me that one, that one, that one, and that one. And he goes, done. And so the next day, I guess he didn't know if it was for real or what. And he called me. He said, hey, what time are we doing the trade? I said, hey, I'm going to church. After church, I'll disassemble the pinball and bring it to you.
Yeah, a lot of y'all might not know, but I'm a big fan, and I get a lot of shit for this, a lot of flack. But big fan of Gottlieb System 3s. That's my favorite pinballs. And so, yeah, that was one that I didn't have. I think I've had all but maybe 2 or 3. I think Operation Thunder and Super Mario is the only Gottlieb 3s that I haven't had. But great game, great underrated game.
That's awesome. The colorful too.
The call outs, it's family friendly. Mm-hmm. The plastics that look like the ice. I mean, they knocked it out of the park with that one. But I think the only reason they didn't get as much recognition as like Williams back then is, it wasn't a themed product. Like it wasn't a movie or a TV show where Williams was doing, Addams Family and
Terminator, Star Trek: The Next Generation. Those are the ones I remember the most.
Gottlieb, I think the only theme one they did.
Waterworld.
2 if you count, Waterworld, Stargate. Mm-hmm. 3 if you count Shaquille O'Neal as a theme. But yeah, most of them was original stuff. So I always kind of dug that. You can't really screw up something that's brand new.
Nope.
Or original. But anyway, yeah, Wipeout's great. We got the Wipeout at Waybacks. Still play it to this day.
Yeah.
I love Wipeout. I love Waterworld. I love Shack Attack. A lot of people hate on Shack Attack. I love it here. Stargate's probably still top 3 favorite pinballs of all time.
Let's see. Wait, I got in that trade Die Hard, Street Fighter 2, Defender, and there was another one. Mm-hmm. Can't remember the fourth one.
I don't remember.
But there was a fourth one.
I've done a lot of swapping and trading over the years.
But here's the funny thing: because of Waybacks, those 4 games are all back at Waybacks now because he came calling. And sometimes that happens in the hobby too. I didn't want to sell some of the games. My biggest regret was Asteroids Deluxe because I remember I've got nostalgia for it when it came out in the 80s, in 81 actually. And but what I did was I knew they needed games, and I knew Asteroids Deluxe would be a star in there for old school games. Sometimes when you sell games like that in bulk, you take that money and you just upgrade the rest of your games and your cabinets, and that's what I did. I think Miss Pac-Man cab, I ended up putting a arcade SD board in it, and I tricked it out, a nice new control panel and all that, some artwork. Finished Berserk with the money. Did a lot of stuff with it. But and it all works out because he's one of my best friends. All I got to do is knock on the back door to Waybacks. He looks in the camera and said, all right, here comes Clint to play games.
Fire Blaster.
The Fire Blaster.
Professor Fire Blaster. Black belt jiu-jitsu. But yeah, that's kind of the cool cheat code of Waybacks, right? So we open that. All of a sudden, I don't have to sell the games anymore because I've got all the room in the world to keep them. You know, if you haven't been in there, it's 15,000 square feet. And so what I used to do, I had this, you know, my arcade wasn't this small. I've since enclosed this and drywalled it, but it used to be the whole shop.
I think somebody cool had the idea for this too, but anyway.
Yeah, over a cold beer and a hot shop. I was like, you know what? It's too hot in here. Let's throw some walls up, insulate it. Yeah. So that's why I made it smaller, is to keep myself at bay. But all the
Do you get that too? Because people tell me you need a bigger arcade so you can put more games. I said, no, I made it this size so that I can have the best games or the ones that mean something to me.
It calms me down. Like,
yeah.
I'm not trying to fit 50 things in here because I can't.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about Waybacks, so before Waybacks, I'd buy random games, you know, Mercs, Road Blasters, whatever I can get my hands on at a decent price. And then I'd fix them, upgrade them, sell them for a markup, and get something that I wanted. Well, now I don't have to do that anymore. I can keep the games that I wouldn't normally play. Like, I like Pleiades, but I don't like Pleiades enough for it to have a spot in here.
Right.
But we've got it at Wayback, so if I ever get the itch to go play Pleiades, all I got to do is go to work, you know. And it's the same with a lot of games we have up there. They're not AAA titles, but they're good titles. They're just not your favorite title. And don't get me wrong, Pleiades is many people's favorite title. It's just not my favorite title.
Right.
You know, and
I've got nostalgia towards it. I like it, but having a small arcade, those Centauri cabs are huge.
Oh yeah.
So if you put one in, then maybe 2 games have to go. So you have to really think about what you're doing with a home arcade.
Yeah, especially true with the 90s. So like Mortal Kombat cabinet, they're massive, man. If I put Mortal Kombat 1 through 3 and 1 through 4 in here, it would take up half the row. I'd have room for maybe 3 more games.
When you come to Tix, you'll see I have a NBA Jams. That is my main machine.
You gotta have a MAME in a home arcade.
You gotta have it, and it's nice. But it looks like the Millennium Falcon. You know, it doesn't look like much, but she's got it where it counts.
I need to get the dice hanging from the.
I do. That's a good idea. The funny thing is, that guy Todd gave me the wrong advice on paint, and I used latex. He said use latex, and then afterwards he goes, "Oh, I meant oil based." So nothing sticks to it. So I got this ugly black cab, but the front I must have $50 in decals from Redbubble on it, and just other decals. But
it's a MAME. It'll never be original, so you might as well make it original to you.
That's it. And being that you're talking about how big the games are, if you're playing 2-player fighting games, I had to angle it. So angling it took up even more space.
When we go to Tix, we're going to have to show you the control panel. The control panel on his MAME. Oh, man, take like 2 of these tables, right? It's like a surfboard with Tron artwork. It's cool.
My brother and his friend in Dallas were, like we were talking about earlier, selling games for a while. And by the way, they made out like bandits with those pedestal arcade games that hook up to big screen TVs, because during the pandemic, everybody was making their garage into bars and party places. And so these guys found them on YouTube, and they sold out the rest of their arcade stuff in pedestals. But his buddy said, "I'll make you a control panel," because I had one of those tank sticks, and I never liked it. But I ended up keeping the guts from the tank stick, the old encoders and all that. But when I gave him the measurements, and he just went a little overboard. He said, "Well, I think it'll look more impressive like this." All right, impressive, dude. It's huge.
I mean, it's got cup holders and steering wheels.
When you play Robotron, it's so big, I spaced it out so you could fight real comfortable, and I have a flight stick in the middle. But if I was to play Robotron, which I do, it's like this. I'm this wide playing it. It's hilarious.
Well, I mean, I guess it's fair, you know, men of a certain age, you know, instead of being a motorcycle guy with ape hangers, you got your ape hangers on your Robotron playing. Yeah. Well, guys, I think this is going to be long enough for this video, but next time we're going to hang out, we'll hang out at Tix.
Yeah, but Evan is definitely messed up. The Retro Redneck treated me to some good food and some cold beer. And it's going to be hard to top this, but I have to figure out something when you guys come to Tix and check us out.
Yeah, you're from South Louisiana, so maybe I could talk you into one of them sauce pecans or something like that.
And that's
This man can make a good sauce pecan.
yeah. He's gonna twist my arm on that one.
Anyway, guys, until next time, y'all take care. Louisiana Saturday night at the arcade.